So for today, I'm going to be going over a buying guide for 2025. So if you're buying video games in the year 2025, I have some suggestions on how you can save money and make sure that you get the best bang for your buck. So if you're buying a game from $1 to $5, you can either pay $1 to $5 for the video game if it's worth it. So take like Among Us. If you wanted to buy Among Us for $5, that's a pretty good deal. If you have Game Pass, you can also get it for $4. Or if you're really a cheapskate and you want to save a couple extra, like dollar, a few dollars, whatever, you can buy the game when it's 25% off for $3.75. You could buy it for $2.50 when it's half off, or you could buy it for $1.25. But typically, if it's $1 to $5, you could just buy it full price as it is. Now, if you want to buy a game that's $10 to $20, you can, in my suggestion, buy the game at $10 full price. I think that's a pretty good deal. However, you could also buy it for $2 if it's 80% off. You could buy it for $2.50 if it's 75% off. $3 if the base price is $10, you can get it for 70% off. $4, $5, or $7.50 if you want it for 25% off. And $9 if it's like 10% off or whatever. Ignore that like 20% that it says there. That I meant 10%. Regardless, I would usually say if a game is $10, you could probably pay the full price for it. But if it's like also, let's say $5 discounted by 50% off, that's a good deal too. $5 is a pretty great price for a $10 game. Now, if the game is $15 and you see it 90% off, for $1.50, that is an immediate pickup. You have to get that. If it's $2.25, it's like 80% off or whatever. That's a pretty good deal as well. $3 or $3.75, if it's 80 or 75% off respectively, that's also very good. Now $5, 66% off, and it could be a good deal. You could always pick it up for $5 if it's 15 as the regular base price. If it's $7.50, depending on what it is, it may or may not be worth it. But I would usually say most games are okay at $7.50 if they're $15 normally. $10 and $12 at that point, they're so close to the regular price that I would suggest typically not doing it. Mainly just due to the situation where it's like the point is to save money, right? And I mean $10 is close, but that's like cutting it. In certain circumstances, you could probably pay $12 if it's like 20% off or whatever. Typically, I wouldn't suggest doing that. Now, if the game is $20 and you can get it for 90% off for $2. That's an immediate pickup. You have to buy it. If it's 80% off for $4, that's a great deal as well too. $5 is still pretty good. Anything above that, really, if it's $20, like $6, 66, 60 cents or whatever, it's like 66% off or whatever. Maybe. $8 if it's like 60% off. $10. $10 is probably the limit. If it's a $20 game. $12, probably not. I really wouldn't go for $12. The max is like $10, but if you can get it for like 10 or less, then that's a great pickup. Now, if you're going with the $25 to $40 range, if the $25 game is discounted by 90% off for $2.50, it's an immediate pickup. You just grab it. If it's $5, so like 80% off, that's also still really good. $6.25, that could probably be worth it. $12.50, that's kind of like cutting it close. Usually I would say $12.50 is like the max, or $12 is like the max. If you're buying like a $60 game that's like 80% off, but $25 discounted by half, depending on what it is, it could be worth it. If it's $30 and it's $6, or even $3, I didn't even mention it in the graph here. If it's $3 and it's $30, yeah, that's an immediate pickup. You get it. You have to get a $3 game that's 90% off from $30. $6 probably also pretty good. $10, maybe. It depends. Maybe $10 could be good depending on what it is, what game it is. If it's $35 and it's $3.50 for 90% off, it's an immediate pickup. If it's $7, it could be okay. $8.75, that's all right too. If it's like 75% off. Now, if it's $40 and it's discounted by 90% for $4, it's an immediate pickup. You just get it. Anytime you see 90% off, it's an immediate pickup. $8, that's probably the limit for like a $40 game. If you're going to buy a discounted, $8 is like the max. $10 or $12 is kind of cutting it close. What else? Let's see. $45 to $60 range. If you see for 90% off for $4.50, that's definitely a pickup. You pick it up without any hesitation. $6.75, so 85% off of $45. That's still pretty good. $9, that can be great too. Yeah, especially if it's $45. Now, if it's 75% off of $45 or like $11.25, it can be good depending on what it is. If you're buying a $50 game for $5, that's an immediate pickup, so that's a 90% off. $7.50 at 85% off, that can be pretty good too. $10 for $50, that's also really good. And you're going to notice as the prices go higher, the more and more they get discounted, the more I suggest you be willing to pay for the discount. If it's $60 and it's like 90% off for like $6, immediate pickup, you get it. You don't hesitate on that. You just make sure that you get that 90% off discount. $9 for 85% off, that's okay. $12, that's great. If you're gonna get like any $60 game discounted, the maximum or the minimum you'll pay, I'd suggest you paying is like $6, and the maximum is like $12. If it's a $60 game and you're gonna buy it on discount, do not buy for anything more than $12. I buy all PlayStation's first-party games on Steam only when they hit $12 when they're 80% off or more. I do not buy their games whatsoever for anything more than $12. They don't deserve anything more than $12. They're like walking simulator mid-tier slot games, so it's like, why not pay like just barely over $10? So when you get to like that $60 range, $12 is the maximum you should be paying for the discounted price. You should never be paying like for Sony games like a full $60. They're not worth it. I would even argue Microsoft and Nintendo's games are not worth it at that price range. A Microsoft game should also be probably around like $12 if it's $60. Now, if we're talking $70, like $80 range here, and you see it for 90% off, oh yeah, you definitely, absolutely want to get it for $7. That's a great deal. For $10.50 for 85% off 70, that's also a very good deal as well. $14 for $70. 80% off? Maybe. It's cutting it close. I would probably say it depends. You have to evaluate the situation on what game it is, but most games, if they're discounted at $14, probably alright. If it's $80 and it's $8 for the 90% off, that's a pickup. $12, ooh, for $80, that's like the limit. Like you can't go higher than $12. And if it's 80 and it's like 80% off for $16, only if it includes DLC. So the $80, like maybe it's like a special edition or something, not like a deluxe edition, so it has some DLC but not all the DLC, then maybe $16 could cut it. Or if it's $80 for like an older game, like a Tales of Arise or some other type of like older special edition before the new price increases that the industry's forcing on us, maybe. I mean, $80 for a special edition of like the PS4, Xbox One generation and like early Series X and S PS5 generation, for $16 that might be okay. For the modern special editions, I have them like listed right down here. So for modern special editions that are going to be going from like $90 to $120, if you see a $90 game discounted to $4.50, so it's like 95% off, that's a pickup. And that's like a bundle including like all its DLCs and everything, so like that's definitely a pickup. If it's 90% off for $9, that could be okay. depending on like if it has all the DLC and stuff. That's pretty good. Like Gotham Knights Deluxe Edition with all its DLC, I've been seeing that like here and there decently for like $9, discounted from like $90, so that's a pretty good deal. 1350, that's like cutting it close. That's like a Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Strikers Deluxe Edition with pretty much most of its DLC, not all of its DLC, most of its DLC. I would say that's still fairly okay. 1350 for a $90 game or so. Cutting it close, but it can work. Now, if the game's $100, like Sushi Squad, Disrespect, and Put Down Batman on the Park Bench, which is like $100 for its deluxe edition or whatever. If you see that for 95% off and it's $5, yeah, you can pick it up. I mean, it's a trash heap of like straight garbage, but for $5, you know, I mean, yeah. Now, if it's $100 and it's discounted to $10, so it's 90% off, that's also a decent pickup as well too. Probably a pickup, a guaranteed one almost. Now, if it's $110 and it's discounted by 95% off for $5.50, you do pick it up. $11, yeah, you could probably pick it up just like the $10 for the 100. If it's $100 and $20, you can get it for $6 or $12. Usually, I say the general like golden ratio for when you should buy games digitally and pick them up is around the range when they're like up to $12. Like $12 like should be the limit. Maybe 13 or 14 for a little extra if you want to add an extra $1 or $2 or so. But $12 is like the limit you should ever be paying for like a video game when it's discounted in any capacity. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much that for that whole breakdown there. So yeah.